Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live from the News Hub here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. My name is Efua Tieku. The headlines now. Chief Executive Officer of Engineers and Planners Ibrahim Mahama says he is better off as a businessman under NPP government. Cocoa farmers in parts of the country live in abject poverty while toiling to feed the country. We will bring you the story of farmers at Achim in Bunahafo region. And on the foreign front, U.S. Secretary of State nominee and CIA Director Mike Pompeo makes secret visits to North Korea to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. We have details of these stories and more, including business, sports, and entertainment in the next 1 hour. Stay with us. In our very first story, Chief Executive Officer of Engineers and Planners and brother of former President Ibrahim Mahama says he is doing better as a businessman in the NPP government. He says his brother's involvement in politics negatively affected his business. The business icon was speaking at an entrepreneurship seminar at the University of Ghana in Accra.
Ibrahim Mahama was responding to questions from students on how he made it in business. Telling the students about his life, he recounted how he struggled for money to start his business when he returned from the UK because banks were not ready to help. The business tycoon said a friend supported him with a $10,000 loan to start his business, which now employs over 5,000 people. Ibrahim Mahama disputed claims he relied on his brother's political influence to become rich.
I became successful much more in Kufuor's time because I had nobody hanging around my neck. I rather regressed when my brother became vice president. It became a problem for me even in my business. Where even I thought they would be nice to me, they were worse to me. Today, NPP is in power. I likely won't get favors, but I'm even doing better than I was doing when my brother was president.
He advised the students to stay off politicians.
I pay more tax than any Ghanaian in this country. Yet those who don't pay tax would insult me as if they contribute to this country. But I want to set the record straight that I was who I was. I was successful. That's why I can chop my money without looking back and thinking that Amidu is coming to own me.
Another speaker at the seminar wants Ghana's education system to be practically oriented in order to equip students with entrepreneurial skills.
We need to equip up entrepreneurial spirits in them so that they don't complete school thinking that they have to go and wait for government to create jobs for them. That is why we have something called Unemployed Graduates Association. For me, I simply don't see why we should have such a thing, especially if we were training them to come out to become employers instead of employed.
The students said they were charged to start business on their own.
I mean, you can learn all the classicals, you can learn the philosophies and all that, but then business runs the world now. And how can business comments and also that of the investment part of Africa be translated to the world? We could get a lot of foreign direct investing, we get a lot of money and all that. So that's, I mean, Africa grows, Ghana grows.
The entrepreneurship seminar was organized by the Graduate Student Association of Ghana, GRASAG, as part of their 25th anniversary. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Mahama has pledged $2,000 each to 20 members of the Graduate Student Association of Ghana, GRASAG, as startup seed to encourage entrepreneurship among the graduates. The money, which is expected to be paid back after a year, is to help the graduates bring into fruition well thought out business plans that can generate income, grow the business, and employ others.
5 persons involved in the SNIT IT scandal are to meet the Attorney General for further probe and investigations. Now, our reporter Daniel Opoko has been to a press conference organized by SNIT, and he's just joined me in the studio. Daniel, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, what does the report say?
Right. If you recall, at the latter part of last year, that's 2017, when a new board was put in place to manage the trust, and some financial malfeasance were allegedly discovered. So what the Board of Senate did was to award a contract for an investigative work to be done for a 3-year period to assess the financial status of contributions by pensioners. So PricewaterhouseCoopers did the investigative piece, and they did the review of Senate. Now, what they have captured in the report has to do with the purchase of the IT software, which became a major controversy at the latter part of last year, where some names were cited. The former Director General, Mr. Ernest Thompson, was cited, and the former IT head of Senate, one Caleb Afoglo, was also cited. Including other top management of Senate initially were cited, and currently as I speak to you, Yoko has been able to conclude its investigations according to the management of Senate, and the list has been submitted to Attorney General for further probe, and it is possible that maybe from next week they are likely to be sent to court for further investigations to be done. Now,
so usually, I mean, these issues like these come up, and then we see investigations come up. How quickly are we going to see some final results coming from this? Did they say anything?
Right. If you listen to the board chairman of Senate, that's Dr. Adokovo, and the management of Senate, they are very much positive, following through and through to the resolution of some of these issues, because for them, they believe that over the years, the confidence reposed in Senate actually has come down. Contributions which beneficiaries receive after they have retired from active service has also reduced. So basically what they are trying to do is to try to repose this confidence back, improve the integrity of Senate for Ghanaians to also be able to get the maximum contributions that they will make or they have made before they retire. That's what they are seeing to do. So hopefully from next week, that's what they will follow up with this issue with Attorney General and get some of these monies refunded to the state.
So for purposes of clarity, where are these people?
Currently, we are told that just this afternoon we'll be asked to go and see the Attorney General by Yoko. They are going to see the Attorney General this afternoon because it's Yoko which conducted the investigative piece. I think they are on bail, so basically they'll be going to the Attorney General this afternoon for further probe, and hopefully from next week they'll be sent before the law courts.
Many thanks to you, Daniel, for joining us. So that was Daniel Opoku, who has been to a press conference by SNIT and on the 5 persons involved in the SNIT IT scandal here in Accra. Now let's look at some more of our stories. And head of the Department of Public Administration and Health Services Management at the University of Ghana Business School says government must solve the issue of ministers taking office and waiting till end of their tenure before knowing how much they are entitled to. Professor Justice Bawale, who spoke to Alfred Okanse on News 360 on Monday on the allegations on some former appointees in the erstwhile Mahama administration took double salaries whilst in office.
This issue is a very complex issue, and it points us to a very big problem within our system. A problem that is not entirely the problem of Accountant General and even Auditor General. It points us to a problem of when or what it is that people are entitled to when they get appointed into public service. One of the things that I have completely been amazed at is the fact that when I heard the accused people talking, I was wondering why we do this ourselves. So people get appointed and they have no idea, for example, exactly how much they are entitled to, and they are being paid on account. And they are being paid on account to say that you are getting money, and at some point in future, we will determine whether or not you got more or less. And if you got more, then it means that you have to refund. If you got less, then it means that we pay you the difference. And I think that is completely unacceptable. And that's what I say, that this takes us to a bigger problem. So people get into office. So last year we saw people into office in different capacities. We don't know exactly what they are entitled to. If we know who determined that, must we wait to the end of their term as MPs or ministers of state before we are told that this is what they are entitled to? I thought my understanding of the system had been that the determination of the emoluments of the members of parliament and the executive are done in periodic intervals. and that whatever is determined previously is what reigns until a new determination is made. If that is the case, and if that is correct, then it presupposes that if I were to come into office as minister, whatever it is that the previous minister got, of course, along with some adjustment in salaries to take care of inflation and annual incremental jumps, I get that. And so I know exactly what my salary is. There is no way I would go into an office and continuously work and get paid on account when, in fact, I don't know exactly what my salary is.
Well, the Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domolovo, has called for a review of the Internal Audit Act. He maintains placing the auditors under the Central Internal Audit Unit will avert intimidation and threat of transfer from management. He urged the Internal Auditor to be bold and professional in the discharge of their duties.
Currently, the scheme which is in place does not allow internal auditors the necessary independence that they require, so to say it as it is or be professional in the discharge of their duties. What I'm saying is that a professional internal auditor may have observations about infractions in the institution. He brings it to the attention of management, and of course there are good managements. They will say, thank you very much, we will implement it. A bad management will say, my friend, go and change this. You can't put this on record. If you don't do this, you are moving you from Accra to wherever you don't want to go. And human beings as they are, they may decide to look at their personal interests and say, okay, sir, I will change it. And it gets changed. So what I'm saying is this. It's a practice that you can find all over the sub-region. There's what we call the Central Internal Audit Unit, or agency in Ghana. And that agency usually owns all the internal auditors, and then they post them to the respective MDAs. And therefore, there is somebody who is there to take care of their professional growth, quality assurance, to be sure that they are even using standards. Their reports are according to law, are according to standard. So all these, I think, are necessary. That's why I'm calling for the review of the Internal Audit Act, to make all the staff of internal auditors in the public sector staff of that agency, so that that independence can be established. The second thing that they complain about is their remuneration. How can you be in an internal auditor in education service or in health service and you get more than the head? You cannot. So if you think you are professional, then you have to separate yourselves. If they are treated as one agency, then government can look at their salaries together. But then as it is now, one internal auditor, if education has a higher salary than health, then the one in education will get a higher salary than the one in health. So the current arrangement cannot help to change those things.
Now, cocoa obviously remains Ghana's foremost export crop, bringing in about $2 billion in annual revenue and gross domestic product. But do you know where and how some of the many thousands of cocoa farming families live and work to bring in all the goodies for the country? Peter Kwao Adato was at Achim, an isolated predominantly cocoa farming area of the Bunahafo region, and reports most people live in abject deprivation while toiling to feed the nation.
Achim is a collection of 222 small settler cocoa farming cottages southeast of the Dorma district capital, Dorma Ahinkro. The 2010 National Population Census put the total number of inhabitants at 523, with a growing child population. The community is just about 15 kilometers from the nearest town of Kwaminsua, but appeared completely cut off from the rest of Ghana. After driving on this feeder road through varying farmlands and forest zones, one is welcomed to Achim by these type of farm huts. Every settler here in Achim is from a different part of the country, including the Republic of Togo. They are all engaged in cocoa farming, cultivating large swaths of land, yielding tons of cocoa each year, but the farmers here are completely deprived. The community has no water, no school, no health facility, market, or electricity. Since 1999, when it was founded, over 500 inhabitants depend on this borehole for their main source of water. Some travel over 5 kilometers to access the borehole water.
The water situation is a major challenge. I travel long distances carrying children to access water. Without that, I cannot get water to prepare food for them and the household. We need urgent intervention.
Children here can only go to school when they are old enough and willing to walk 15 kilometers to Kwame Nkrumah. A self-help education initiative by the people 5 years ago yielded no result, as the school infrastructure turned into a white elephant due to lack of teachers. So there is high level of illiteracy and early marriage.
Our children cannot attend school because the nearest educational facility is at Kwame Nkrumah, and kindergarten to primary 3 will help prepare them to be able to continue at Kwame Nkrumah. This is crucial for the future of our children.
We were told the sick and pregnant women in labor are carried on stretchers across 15 kilometers of Kwame Nkrumah Road for medical attention.
We carry them from here to Aboabo, Kwame Nkrumah, and other places. Our problem is beyond imagination. We need immediate attention, at least to improve our roads.
The residents are appealing to government to come to their aid in order to increase cocoa production.
So now let's go over to the Ashanti region, where a collapsed bridge has cut off several farming communities in the Ifija-Kwabre district. Now, residents of Denasi say the current state of the bridge is affecting economic activities in the area. Our reporter, Ibrahim Abubakar, has visited the area and has come through with this report.
A 5 minutes drive from Kodie to Esanse now has to take them over 25 to 30 minutes because they have to go and use the Nkwanta road back to Esanse and Denasi. I will be engaging with some of the residents and find out from them how the collapse of this bridge is actually affecting them economically and even posing security threats to their lives.
Since September 2016.
And have you notified the authorities?
Yeah, this assembly is aware of it.
And what have they been telling you?
No, normally they come with political languages that when what happened in September 2016, the MPP was campaigning that when we win in February 2017, we are going to prepare, we are going to build the bridge. Then they won. We didn't hear anything again. This assembly came and they informed the commuters that they are going to bridge it on somewhere in February 2017. Now we're in 2018 April. Nothing has been done to it.
Hiyama seka mpanyinfo hwe na omuboye na omoye sa bridge bi kese emaye pa susa na efiri soro ha ni yini nyina ba na ni ebefa ha no ama oye kituwa bi kula na eyifa ho.
We will be following up from the district assembly and get you more answers.
If you go to Bomai, the same situation. I'm facing so many problems, but I hope now that the government has started this place, they will also come to Denasi Esasi Road. It is not good. I've been there myself. Initially, we started to get a way for them, but even that one, it's not good. We are going to work on it, and we are serious on that of Esasi Road.
And on MTN Video Report, Rex Bright Maunyo Ajagba reports on the destruction and effects caused by tidal waves at Fuveme.
Yeah, my name is Bright. I'm speaking from Fuveme, a community in the Keta municipality of Volta region. This community has been under tidal wave destruction, and the community is being flooded. All the households are being displaced, and they are worried, no place to stay.
Well, many thanks to you. And you can also send your video reports via our WhatsApp line 055-143-3044. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Now, 4 persons, including the former director of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, Ernest Thompson, are under investigations by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, YOCO, for causing financial loss to the state. Let's listen to Dr. Kwame Adukufor, SNIT Board Chair, and Gifty Anand Company Secretary.
That side has been taken care of. What Pricewaterhouse is doing is trying to up the game so that management will be better, human resource management will be better, investment management will be, they are trying to help us manage the place better than before. But so far as criminal activity is concerned, YOCO has already dealt with that. So you have nothing to worry about.
The original OBS contract sum was $34.0 million US. But at the time the project was completed, the contract sum had shot up to $66.8 million US and 36 million Ghana cedis. This means that at the end of the OBS project, an additional amount of $32 million US and 36 million Ghana cedis was paid to PBS. 5 suspects were arrested.
Please pay attention. This is what I want you to keep. People have been arrested. Go ahead.
And they are Ernest Thompson, former Director General of SNIT, Mrs. Juliet Hassana-Kramer, CEO, PBS, John Hagan-Mensah, former OBS Project Manager, Caleb Kweku Afaglo, and Thomas Samson Owusu. However, 4 of them have been cautioned. These include Ernest Thompson, Mrs. Juliet Hassana-Kramer, John Hagan-Mensah, and Caleb Kweku Afaglo. After investigations, the office preferred charges of willfully causing financial loss to the state against these suspects. Yes.
And we'll also bring you details of that particular story in our subsequent bulletins. Now let's look at some more of the stories. And Director of Corporate Strategy and Planning at GASEM, Dr. George Dawson Amwa, has urged Ghanaian trade organizations to support the Ghana International Trade Committee to help achieve government's agenda of industrialization. Dr. Dawson Amwa was speaking at the inauguration of the commission in Accra.
President Akufo-Addo 2 weeks ago inaugurated the National Committee and Board of the Ghana International Trade Commission (GITC), calling on it to ensure that the country conforms with the rules and regulations governing the world's trade system. The formation of the Private Sector Committee became necessary as initiated by the Association of Ghana Industries to support the government-appointed board. The chairman of the committee and director of corporate strategy and planning at GASEM, Dr. George Dawson Amwa, said the absence of an international trade commission has for a long time been the major limitation in international trade arbitration.
We are actually the petitioners. We are going to face this commission, and this commission is equivalent to the appeals court.
He pledged the committee would work against predatory trade pricing, otherwise known as dumping, in order to protect Ghanaian producers and strengthen their ability to satisfy the domestic market. He said GITC will play a critical role in the realization of a Ghana beyond aid.
It's a legal document, Act 926 of 2016. So as a petitioner, you need to understand what you are petitioning for. Hence this committee, to ensure that we give assistance, we give support to our members who will be petitioning to this commission against unfair trade practices which are causing injury into the domestic production.
The business community is represented by 9 members.
The National Insurance Commission will from next week publish names of insurance companies in good standing. The move, according to the Commission, has become necessary to weed out companies operating illegally and others selling fake policies. Etonamse has more.
A few days ago, we had news of some fake insurance company operating in the system somewhere around Swedru in the central region. And it came as a worry because insurance penetration is still below 2%, and the NIC has been trying for years to increase penetration. So how many of such fake insurance companies do we have in the system, deepening the woes of insurance penetration here in Ghana? Here with me is the Commissioner General of the National Insurance Commission, Justice Ofori himself, to tell us what he makes of this whole news.
Yes, Etonam, we are really worried because it affects the insurance penetration in Ghana. We see this as a very big leakage in our system, and we're doing all we can to actually deal with this situation.
Tell us about what you're doing to deal with the situation. How many of such insurance companies do we have in the system? There are concerns that we need their names published.
Yeah, beginning next week, we're going to have the list of all insurance companies in good standing with the Commission, as well as brokers in good standing, so that the public would be aware of whoever they do business with. I cannot be very specific with the numbers, but I believe that about 30% of the insurances on the market are fake.
There are growing concerns over insurance contribution of less than 2% to the country's GDP. Many experts have therefore called for a greater collaboration between stakeholders to grow the sector. But with fake insurance companies currently operating in the country, there's a greater worry that the insurance penetration could drop further.
When we find them, we get them arrested. As we speak, about 3 weeks ago, with the support of the police command in Central Region, we were able to apprehend one company, Sweetel Insurance Company in Swedru.
Commissioner of the National Insurance Commission, Justice Ofori, says the NIC is instituting measures to detect fake insurance policies.
We believe that if someone is traveling to his hometown and he has to go board a public transit, he has the option of just keying the license plate number of the vehicle and instantly on his phone and to a short code, and this person should instantly get a verification as to whether the vehicle he's going to board has a valid insurance before even buying the ticket.
In effect, the NIC has 8 months to institute this database system to detect fraudulent insurance companies. Etonamse, TV3.
Now, so we are still with business, and the head of Banking Supervision Department of the Bank of Ghana, Osejesi, has dismissed suggestions that the recent action by the central bank to sanitize the banking industry as harsh. He indicated the regulator is performing its duties to protect the industry, especially customers who could lose their investment in the event of insolvency.
The head of banking supervision of the central bank noted the need for a robust banking industry, one that makes investment safe, hence the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis.
If a bank doesn't have enough capital, what it means is that depositors' funds are going to be used to acquire fixed assets. Depositors' funds, which the banks have taken, will be used to grant long-term loans. And if these funds were deposited for a very short period, what it means is that depositors will be exposed to risk, because when they need their money, the monies will not be available.
They have been caused by the local banks for the central bank to extend the deadline of the minimum capital requirement from December 31 this year to December 31, 2022. However, the central bank disagrees.
We all agreed that 400 million Ghana cedis is what is required for all banks in this country to enable them play their roles effectively. As far as Bank of Ghana is concerned, our position has not changed. The deadline for meeting the minimum paid up capital of 400 million is 31st December 2018.
Having more capital helps banks better absorb adverse shocks and thus reduces the probability of financial distress. A strong banking sector boosts economic growth, attracts foreign direct investment, and increases business confidence.
And that'll be all for business. Let's look at some more stories. And today, April 18, is World Heritage Day. The day is set aside to encourage the celebration of all cultures of the world and to bring awareness to important cultural monuments and sites and to espouse the importance of preserving them. In Ghana, the UNESCO-listed World Heritage properties are the forts and castles along the coast of Ghana from the western region to the Volta region, including those in ruins, and the remaining Ashanti traditional buildings in and around Kumasi in the Ashanti region. So let's look at some more stories on that, and it is not the first and may not be the last. The demolition of some heritage sites in Ghana, regardless of their relevance in the country's history. The Ave Maria Hotel in Tema, which houses the reading room of Britain's Queen Elizabeth, was demolished some time ago. Now, Kwabna Edu Jemfi takes a look at implications of the gradual wiping of Ghana's heritage sites.
Okay, I think I've seen it.
Embarking on this journey, I expected to see evidence that, indeed, part of Tema is situated at the center of the world, as authored by history. My first stop was the Ave Maria Resort, originally called Howcrow Beach Club, built in the early 1950s by Sir W. Howcrow, the consultant assigned to the construction of the Tema Harbour. Before the facility was acquired by the Ave Maria Holdings in 2002 and expanded to its current state, the club had only these two rooms, which regularly hosted Ghana's first president and for once hosted Queen Elizabeth II when she visited Ghana.
When the Queen was coming in '62, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the late president, asked that they build a pool for the Queen's use and a small room for her relaxation.
Apart from the swimming pool, which has been preserved till date, all other items both dignitaries used during their visit have been replaced with modern facilities. But this does not in any way erase the significance of this place. The Greenwich Meridian Rock, which I had read about in my formative year, should have been few meters away from the resort, but was no more due to the port expansion project.
So what do we put at that particular space to commemorate this ideal that we have, that we are the center of the world?
Part of the old Parliament House in Accra, which hosted Ghana's first parliament, was demolished last year, 2 years after the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board signed a memorandum of understanding with Ghana's Heritage Conservation Trust aimed at forging closer collaboration to strengthen their managerial role in preserving Ghana's historical site and cultural heritage.
As it is, most of these sites, attractions, heritage sites and all those things are not regulated by GTA, and so we're working on a new legislative instrument. We've met with the parliamentary group a few months ago. We need the backing of the law so that every site, every attraction will be regulated by GTA.
We've been joined on the phone lines by the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Dr. Ziblim Idi. Thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations on the World Heritage Day. Now, are you worried really about how we maintain some of our heritage sites, especially a case in point is the Ave Maria Resort, which has been demolished?
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I commend you, TV3, for really highlighting the day, the International Day for Monuments and Sites. It's an important day for the preservation of our heritage. We in Ghana over the years have within the constraints that we are always confronted with because of the economy, tried to preserve all our monuments, our historical sites, and our heritage sites. The case that you have cited, yes, unfortunate as it is not representative of the efforts of government. Government has, done a lot in the direction of trying to see what investment we can put in preserving all our heritage sites. We appreciate the role that this site, plays, one in really preserving our heritage, but most importantly in promoting tourism into this country. So the ministry is very much interested in protecting all those that are left. Unfortunately, over the years, successive governments have not really succeeded in protecting the site. I think research has shown that we inherited about 60 forts and castles. And unfortunately, as we speak, there are only 18 that are standing. The rest, in ruins, and that is not good. So this government, as a matter of fact, is working really hard to protect at least the 18 that we have come to inherit, so that we continue to preserve this for posterity.
Now, Mr. Idi, can you tell us what sort of maintenance do we practice with these sites, if we do at all?
So we have the museum, Ghana Museum and Monument Board, that is the agency under the ministry. And I can say for certainty that we are working with the Embassy of Germany, the Danish Embassy, that is Denmark, as a matter of fact, the U.S. Embassy. And we are also getting some support from some institutions inside Ghana to protect some of these buildings. The Cape Coast Castle is one that I think we are working with the U.S. Embassy to really see what we can do to preserve that. There are some sites in Volta region that the German are helping. The EU, as a matter of fact, is also on board. And I mention this because they also have some interest in some of these forts and castles. Some of them were, I think all of them actually, were legacies of our historical past, slavery, colonization. These are not pleasant times that we want to go back to, but for the record, you will want to preserve them. And I must say also that majority, if not all of them, are now cited as UNESCO heritage sites. So we have an obligation to preserve them.
Well, many thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Ziblim Idi, who is the Deputy Minister of Tourism. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to Midday Live. We have international news.
Director Mike Pempo traveled to Pyongyang for a secret meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, U.S. media reports. The meeting, to prepare for direct talks between U.S. President Donald Trump and Mr. Kim, took place on April 1, unnamed officials said. Mr. Trump had earlier alluded to high-level direct talks with Pyongyang, but this unexpected and clandestine meeting would mark the highest-level U.S. contact with North Korea since 2000. The president added that he gave his blessing for talks between South and North Korea to discuss a peace treaty to formally end the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. South Korea has also signaled that it may pursue a formal resolution of the conflict.
So now here's some more international news.
Renewed action and boosted funding to fight malaria could prevent 350 million cases of the disease in the next 5 years and save 650,000 lives across Commonwealth countries. Seeking to reignite efforts to wipe out the deadly mosquito-borne disease, Philanthropists, business leaders, and ministers from donor and malaria-affected countries pledged £2.7 billion, equivalent of $3.8 billion, to drive research and innovation and improve access to malaria prevention and treatment. Spearheaded by the Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Bill Gates, the leaders warned against complacency in fighting malaria, a disease which kills around 500,000 people, mainly babies and young children, each year. While enormous progress has been made over the past 20 years in reducing malaria cases and deaths, in 2016, for the first time in a decade, the number of malaria cases was on the rise, and in some areas, there was a resurgence, according to the World Health Organization.
That was your international news. Coming up next is entertainment. Now, CNN's chief international correspondent, Christian Amanpour, is unhappy with public outreach directed at Moesha Budong for revealing the economy of Ghana forced her to sleep with married men to take care of her needs. To Amanpour, making Moesha the target of public shaming is quite distressing, urging the gender minister not to condemn but stand up for the rights of Moesha. Osuare has this report.
Actress Moesha Budong, contributing to CNN's Sex and Love show, revealed the state of the Ghanaian economy has pushed her to sleep with a married man in order to survive.
Are you basically telling me that you're having sex with this guy essentially to pay your rent?
Because he can afford to take care of you.
Moesha's comments stirred up public outrage as many believed she disgraced not only herself but all Ghanaian women. A statement signed by the gender minister Otiko Jaba slammed the actress for her statements, which painted Ghanaian women in a manner quite objectionable on the world stage. The statement added Moesha's revelation inaccurately portrayed the actions of millions of hard-working women who hustle dusk to dawn to survive. Moesha has subsequently apologized for her remarks, but host of the show, Christian Amanpour, finds it unfortunate Moesha has become the target of public shaming by the Ghanaian press. The renowned journalist sees the bashing as an affront to the country's acclaimed free speech environment, revealing Moesha fears returning to the country safely. The host wants people to recognize Moesha's right to speak up and the courage she showed by sharing such intimate details about her personal life.
What does your man expect of you?
He expects me to be loyal and just to date him only and give him sex when he wants.
And what if you said no one day? He turns up at your house and you got a headache. What does he say?
You can't say no. You have to give him what he wants.
Christian Amanpour further encouraged Ghanaians to reserve judgment for the whole episode of the show and understand that all must be seen in context, not judged on one excerpt. Amanpour appealed to the President of Ghana and the Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister to stand up for the rights of one of their own who was simply enjoying a carefree, boisterous and mostly humorous conversation.
Because you can't make enough money? You can't make enough money.
As a woman here?
As a woman here. Because even when you want to get an apartment, in Ghana you pay 2 years in advance.
Wow.
And I just started working. Where will I get money to pay for an apartment for 2 years?
Are you basically telling me that you're...
Well, meanwhile, relationship expert Councillor Luchos has sided with Shatta Wale for allegedly beating his girlfriend, Shatta Michi. In a chat with Kofi TV, the self-acclaimed councillor said Shatta Michi deserves to be beaten, arguing she is wrong to stay under the same roof with a man she's not married to. If their social media posts are anything to go by, then Shatta Wale and his baby mama's relationship is facing difficult moments. Shatta Wale, in a Facebook post, accused Shatta Michi of threatening him with a knife and also slapping him in front of her mother. Shatta Michi, on the other hand, posted a photo revealing the injuries she suffered after Shatta Wale abused her. But in all this, some Ghanaians have described the fight a fake gimmick. And that's all we have for Midday Live on TV3. Thank you so much for staying with us. And remember, we are live on DSTV channel 279. And if you want more news, you can also go to 3news.com. My name is Efua Tieku. Bye-bye.